Welcome again to Mystic Revolution. We're so glad you're here. Thank you for being with us. We are in season 3, Conscious Creation. Before we jump into our continued conversation on conscious creation, let's drop into a little meditation. Go ahead and close your eyes and allow yourself to just settle into yourself. Feel the weight of your body on your chair or on the floor, wherever you are. Just tune into the presence of your physicality. And let's allow ourselves to drop out of headspace into your heart, into your core. And again, as we did before, connecting your own heart down with the heart of the earth. Allowing yourself to drink in the energy of the earth, knowing that the earth in its regenerative, healing solidness holds you safe and strong in your own sovereignty. And we can also allow our heart to connect with the sun or the heart of the sky. So tune into a beautiful beam of light or a tether of energy that allows yourself to connect up and allow the presence of your own heart connected to the heart of the earth and the heart of the sky to be. Taking a nice deep breath in and out. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes. And I apologize in advance if you hear a little mewling in the background. I have a little cat that likes to sit around when we do these things. So yeah. Yeah. So welcome back, everyone. Hi, Wendy. We get to continue our conversation on conscious creation. And we talked about being creative flow last time. And this time we're going to dive into being creative change. Oh, here's a little cattail.
Oh, yeah. I think last time I saw the little cattail. It's very fun.
Yeah. Creative change. Yeah.
Yes. And the dance of physical and spiritual creativity, which is dancing change. And one thing I didn't like when I was first training as a healer and a transformation facilitator, I was just like most people, Michael has all these sayings. He's like, everybody wants improvement. No one wants change. I was like, right? It's like, what is conscious creativity? It's change. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want change. I just want better.
Well, I agree with you. Yeah, I think there's a lot of that kind of energy. Things need to be different.
Yes.
Okay.
Different, better, but that means a lot of change. And it's not
Yes.
just change of them and even the world. It's change of the things I keep talking about back into my body, my thoughts, my feelings, my soul, my core. Like that, I believe the change comes from here and comes out. And like we're talking about manifestation and conscious creation, which means creative change. And so that means rumble. That's not just like, oh, slide out of bed and go for a walk on the beach. It's not all like beer and Skittles, one of my teachers used to say. There's, change.
As I think I've said before, that just sounds gross, but like, I get it.
I know I'm used to it from my youth. So I'm going to bring up a Jesus thing. And it's something that not everyone understands what he said, but he said it a lot because he was facilitating an enormous amount of change on so many layers, which is you can't put new wine in old wineskins. So
Mhm.
it's like the change I want, the manifestation, the realizations that I want into the world start here
Right.
in my
Yeah,
own new wineskin, because the old wineskin can't hold it.
exactly. Yeah. And, this gets into another tool that we talk about, like creation and destruction, right? We don't want to necessarily destroy something to cultivate something new, but really, I mean, that's what we have to do. And a
Yeah.
lot of people work with like the goddess Kali and other um,
Yes.
goddess figures that are like about the creative destruction, creation and destruction cycle. And it can be really helpful because it is a cycle. Again, it is the flow.
Hmm.
It is that flow. And we have to destroy the old wineskin, the
Hmm.
old ways of beingness, if we want to create new ways of being. Yeah,
Yes. Yes,
love that.
because the new wine, what we want, can't come. It doesn't fit. It breaks the old thing.
It breaks the old thing.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah, or we're trying to sort of hold the new and it just doesn't feel right. And we never really actualize the full manifestation of what is possible.
Right. And so
Mhm.
so the question is, we've had a few times now about this conscious creation, and people might be like, "Wait, why aren't you talking about the do this, do this, do this?" Like we talked about this, and a few episodes ago, and it's because when we change here, then it doesn't matter which set of things we talk about to get it done. It'll just be done.
Yeah.
We still have to walk it out, but it's easier.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's
Like,
why we're spending so much time on the container,
well, we can't decide here's step one and how you do it. I mean, really, it's up to you and what you're creating, what you want to create.
right?
Um, but this is that inner groundwork that opens up the full possibility and potential for what could be created. And um, I just I love that idea. And then out of the change within comes change without.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And I'll add another Jesus thing, which I think he's been so misunderstood to be just like, well, Jesus died, so we blah, blah, blah. It's just like Jesus showed us what change looks like. Jesus showed us what kicking ass and taking names looks like. And it looks like letting go and dying and being born different. It's the same thing we keep
Mm.
saying. And like, I know he's not heard like that a lot, but it's just like, you want to follow me? Okay, lift up your cross and get on it and die, and then you can rise anew. You can have a new life full of abundance of what's possible in the new that's not possible now.
Right. And I appreciate that explanation. Um, and I think it also goes back to our conversation about the great work. When you go
Yeah.
into Negretto, that is the death. That
Yes.
is the death. It's the destruction of
Yes.
that which is not pure,
Yes. And the
that
phoenix
which
is a
is not
pile of dust.
right. Yeah, and it's a cycle, right? We have the
Yes.
great work, which is the overarching work of our life, but in every instance of creation, we are doing this cycle of,
Mhm.
destroying the old to make space for the new,
Yes.
essentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I believe, as I keep saying, I believe what's helpful is to go below everyday consciousness that drives everything. Like if I'm not, I can't, it's hard to be conscious there. And that below everyday consciousness, I believe psychology is really, really more and more explicating this. There's a whole lot of non-rational, non-conscious stuff that just drives our choices and our behavior and how we relate to each other. It's just there's a lot of stuff going on under here that we're not very conscious about.
Yeah.
And it creates the life that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is time and time again, I work with the modality of hypnosis, which gets to the unconscious. And I create a container for people to go in. I don't tell them what's going on. They actually uncover them themselves, and they're often just completely shocked by what is discovered.
Yes.
It's not anything that they could have just come up with a normal consciousness, or I even could have seen or told them about. And it's so powerful when there's that recognition and understanding, then it becomes easy to let go of. I'm not going to say sometimes it is like that. I mean, it's crazy. Other times it takes a little bit more time, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And we like, in some ways, once we really can see it and be with it and not resist it, then,
Yes.
okay. And it's like been unconscious. We can't even see it. And then we can see it, and then we can deal with it, and then it can be gone.
And then it can be gone.
And then we can have a different life.
Yeah.
Which is extraordinary. So below the what we think, and we think we think, and we feel, and we feel, there's a whole lot. And so it helps whatever practices that we can utilize to get below there. And last time we talked about it, and then we can perceive what is, perceive what's possible, choose and act from much more freedom.
Yes.
And all the old defaults of just this is how it is can start to move away, and we can discover a whole new freedom.
Yes, we can discover a whole new freedom. Yeah, absolutely.
And make choices that, like, it's just really interesting. On the physical, I went to Baja. I was there a long time ago, 20 years ago, and we were there for like 9 weeks. And we talk a really good story in this country, United States, about freedom. Oh, freedom, freedom, freedom. I went to Baja. I'm just like, dude, there's a whole lot of freedom going on. And, then there's also more need for responsibility. There's also more risk.
Yeah.
But the amount, like, the freedom is a totally different animal. And so it's just sometimes we can't even see the freedom that we don't have until we go to a place where there's more. It's like, oh, I can breathe deeper. Oh, I can see more. Oh, I can choose to have this kind of life that I couldn't even see before.
Well, you talked about that a little bit last time, about the idea, like, sometimes just separating yourself from the immediate environment or the stuff, the people, and going someplace else. The woods, right? That's also like, whoo, freedom, right? We don't have, and you talked about the trees don't judge you, right? So, and how that can open up so much, and new lines of sight, expansiveness, and ideas about what's possible. Yeah.
Yes. And then last time you were talking a little bit about how sometimes change can just be like this, and it can.
Yeah.
I would say, if we're ready for it.
If we're ready for it.
That final cord gets cut, that final piece of the spider web comes off, and the whole thing is down.
Yeah.
It's like very cool. And it feels like grace sometimes. It feels like magic. Like, I don't know why that was so powerful. And I've had some of those. It's just like, dude, I'm in a whole new place. Well, yeah, overnight success after after all this.
Well, I think they say that. I mean, a lot of times they talk about overnight. Really, it's after, a while of sort of tending to the same thing in different ways in different places. And that's part of the flow too.
Yes. Yeah. And until then, until like it's the final straw, it's a practice. It's okay. Like, people, this is the part that I don't feel is talked about enough. Like, we practice change, we practice new, we practice hello to this and goodbye to that. It's a practice.
It's a practice.
There's a lot of talk, like in meditation and stuff, about just being with, which is awesome. But like, there's a whole other things that we can do, and we can practice. And then we can be inviting those miracle shifts and transformations to show, eventually manifest.
Yeah.
When I can have it.
When we can have it.
I feel like, depending on the consciousness we're in, sometimes we're just like, oh, the angels aren't giving it to me. God's not giving it to me. The saint, whoever we're talking, whatever, the goddess isn't giving it to me. It's just like, what if it's right here? and I can't have it. Like that's a really powerful place to stand, I think.
I think so too. And I mean, the practice, we talk about our energy practice or our spiritual practice, but I mean, we can bring it to anything. I'll just use a small example. I love to swim in the ice cold water. It's not like I went from not swimming in ice cold water to just jumping in and being woohoo. I literally made it an intentional practice of acclimatizing my body and acclimatizing my mind to, really cold water. And I've gone swimming, when it's 17 degrees.
Yeah.
I didn't just do that. It took a practice. And it is a very Zen practice that I go through. And we can take that approach to other things. I mean, I know, you want things to happen quickly, but I guess with, age maturity and practice, one learns that there are like beautiful epiphanies, insights, and like bursts of flow that come at each stage between I'm not creating and, the actualization of what you want. And I think that's important to remember. There's no race, there's no competition.
Nope.
Even if it seems like there is, there isn't.
Yeah. Yeah. And this cold water swimming is something we have in common, which is so fun.
Yeah.
And what I noticed for me about it, like I don't notice that I had to work into it because I think probably been doing it my life, but
Yeah, you've been doing it longer than me.
I also have a different body. But what I do this practice of 1, 2, 3, and I do it every time, whether it's easy or hard, whether it's warm or cold, right? I do 1, 2, 3, and it's I'm so trained. I just 1, 2, 3, and like it doesn't matter what temperature it is, I'm going.
You're going.
And then I have that muscle built, and I could use it for other things.
Right. I mean, think about how much energy that saves. You just do 1, 2, 3, and you're in. It doesn't matter what else is going on. You're just 1, 2, 3, go.
Period.
And then you're there.
And what's funny is, I live in the winter last couple of years in Myrtle Beach, and sometimes it's pretty cold, sometimes it's not, and sometimes when it's really cold, the water is it's still warm, it's warmed up, but it's colder or warmer, and it's amazing how many people don't swim. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. Kids sometimes, otherwise forget it. Pretty much no adults, pretty much. And what's so funny is they just look, they're all bundled up looking weird, like we're weird, Michael and I. Like you're just assuming it's terrible, when it's just heaven. And then it's actually better to swim in water that it helps that it's swimming. It gets too hot otherwise. But anyway, they feel it like I never feel it. Never. There might be ice on the top. I'm not feeling it. Like I don't care because I'm going. And that's such a good muscle for other things. And I just want to add a caveat, which is like, so this training happens, but I remember this one time I was ill when I lived in Cary, and I went to the pool, dragged myself to the pool. You're going to swim a little bit. And then I do my 1, 2, 3, and my body didn't go. And what happened before that is I'm like, it's hard. And I was walking back and forth, but I never do. And I was just like, okay, I can do it. 1, 2, 3. And my body didn't go. And I was like, got it. I went back in, put on my clothes, went back home because my body's like, F you, this is not healthy for me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, in case you didn't notice, because sometimes it's hard. It's just like, sometimes you just have to do it, and sometimes you don't have to not do it. And it's hard sometimes.
And that's where the discernment and really listening comes, right? Paying attention. I was like,
you're just being lazy. Just go do it, woman. Then you can be sick. And so I was like, and I didn't force it. And that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
To not force it because, first of all, it's unhealthy for my body. Second of all, it says what you need and want doesn't matter.
Right.
And that's the opposite of a good, healthy relationship with the body. And that creates more problems, not a wonderful life, I think. What do you say?
Oh, I think that's so true. And that can apply to everything. When you try and force things in a relationship, that never works. When you try and force, really anything, it's a mark of something else is driving, and maybe it's a need to prove, or these, like
Right.
you were
A perfect
alluding to,
picture.
a perfect picture. And if I'm not meeting this picture, then there's something bad, or I suck. So I'm going to, prove it to myself or whomever that that's not true. And so I think that's I really am glad that you made that point. Um, this isn't Flow isn't about force.
Yeah.
And I think lasting change isn't about force. I mean, there is sometimes when we need to rip off the Band-Aid. We need to do the
Yes.
hard thing.
Yes.
But
But
that's
what is that thing? Go ahead.
oh, yeah, getting clear. What is that thing? And then deciding to do it is different than like snow plowing it through or
Yeah.
steamrolling it through.
Yeah.
And we need to take a quick break.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you, We Are Historically, for your conscious human apparel. Shop online at wearehistorically.com.
Hey friends, Susana and I want to remind you that we offer a Mystic Revolution meditation. It's the first Tuesdays at 4:30 Pacific. Please come as our guest. You can see our website for the link. And thank you for playing with us.
Raise your vibration and energize your life with specialized Fibonacci tuning forks that deepen meditations and empower self-healing. Get your vibrational sound tools for personal enhancement at energybodytuners.com.
Welcome back to the second half of our episode where we're talking about conscious creation and being creative change. And we were just talking about resistance and the idea of not, forcing things through. And resistance can also be a good thing, though, right? We can work with the energy of resistance. It's a matter, though, of recognizing that the energy of resistance is there, and that we can work with it. I mean, Wendy, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at physics, resistance is like friction. We need friction to be able
Right.
to push off.
Yeah.
What I love, resistance always has me wonder to find the discernment is, and stop me if I've said this before, because there's the resistance that comes when we're on track and everything in me is saying no and whatever. Everything is like, oh, I can't have that good of life. I can't have that great a partner. I can't have that easy a fun job. Like the stuff that's kept me from having a delicious creative life comes up to clear.
Yeah.
As I go along. So that's on one side of the discernment. And the other, and resistance also comes on the other side, which is I'm off track. Like this is not my path and it's not serving me and it's not in alignment with my source. And I'm like, so I'm going down the road and I'm not on the road. I'm hitting mailboxes and the sides of barns, and it's causing all kinds of crap. It's just, and it can look the same. So I think really distinguishing in discernment which it is really helpful.
Yeah, it's really helpful. And so again, the practice of discernment, of recognizing it, and then determining, right, what does this type of resistance need to work with it? How do we bring it into the flow or remove it? And the idea of that, the transition, the growth period, often like resistance shows up then, right? Because we are embodying something new. We are moving to something new. And so what's the role of the resistance in that?
Yeah, it's very informative, I think, and it causes me to notice. And another word for that resistance is like something like relentless misery or something. It's like, right? It's like shit, like whatever it is. That's another word for it, and it's like that is such a gift because it brings my attention to what's not working.
Right.
And it brings my ability to let go and shift where I didn't understand that it needed it. And then the road's clear. The snowplows come through. Hey, snowplow people, we've got a big pile here, and they come and it's gone, and then I can go along my merry way.
Yeah.
It's just that I have to call on the inside for the snowplow people, unfortunately.
Well,
Fortunately.
and that's it, right? You call on the inside for the snowplow people. It's
Yeah.
not forcing a snowplow through like with a lot of effort
Yeah.
this way. Yeah.
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 But when that resistance or that experience of uncomfortableness comes higher, it's actually a gift.
Yeah.
But there was a certain time in the month where it's just like, I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't like this anymore. This is not bringing me joy. And that's a gift of like noticing what doesn't work. And I've talked about this before. I'm quite sure about stopping suffering. Sometimes I just notice it. It's like a set point. Oh, this is just the suffering I live in. It's not until it gets worse that I notice it. But so I'm working on noticing when the suffering is happening, because that's where I can let go, and that's where like the road can clear. It's a really important, useful to change a miserable life to a delicious life.
I love that. It's like in those times of your period or other times in life when your senses are heightened, it really is like that clear seeing, that clear knowing, the sentience of all that we are becomes heightened, and we can clearly identify, right, what needs to shift. And
Yes.
like there's so many different cycles in our lives where those periods of heightened awareness can come in. And
Yes.
when we can recognize that, then we can really use that for information and to pay attention. I really love that you brought that up.
Yeah. And a positive cycle. I noticed this a lot. One time when Michael and I went on vacation, we had been gone through that hell part that I talked about the other day, and we were kind of getting over it, and we had like one of the only actual vacations we ever went on, and it was like opulent. We got this really good deal, but it was opulent, and it was unbelievable. And before then, we'd been stuck in all that other stuff, and we both lost our jobs. I mean, it's just this hell. And we went on this thing for like 10 days, and we came back, and he came back to a job. I came back at a job soon. Like everything shifted because we're being in that higher, delicious, opulent, wonderful, high, having this experience, and we shifted up.
You shifted up. And I am going to say, I mean, I don't know what happened, but your being in the deep down, dark and dirty mess burned up a bunch of stuff. Stuff died, right? Stuff died.
It did. Mostly me.
Okay. All right. Well, you died, and
that's
then
what
whatever.
had to happen.
But yeah, like it had to happen so that the full expression and experience of, as you say, opulence, or change, because that's a change. You then changed.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it seemed miraculous, but I did a lot of work between here and there,
Of course.
But, and I also had to allow this incredible thing, because we had been not working. We were like super poor. And basically, we're like, we paid for this thing, and we're going to go on this amazing thing and then come home. I think it was 11 days, come home and like move into the street. I mean, like we really seriously, it was bad, and like instead it was just like, it was extraordinary and we could have easily said, oh, we can't do that,
Yeah.
So much is about our choices and allowing the positive flow to come, and not resisting the negative flow and saying, oh, okay, this is where to heal. This is where the ego die. It can be a blessing.
It can be a blessing. I love it. And it's all in the flow. And I love the idea that, right, there's the good and the bad and the beautiful and the opulent and the brilliant and the rocky road. It's all part of the flow. And in allowing that, we bring about that creative change. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a good stopping point today on being creative change. These last two are about flow and creative change. I just really love it.
I love it too. Thank you so much, Wendy.
Thanks, Susana.
So let's let's go ahead and just do a little closing meditation out. And if anything that was said or talked about resonates with you, allow that to be. And if there's other stuff that you're like, just let it go. Just let it go. And allow yourself to settle in to the truth of who you are right here, right now. And allowing ourselves to go inward back into the heart and illuminating a beautiful ball of light there. And knowing that as we attend to the heart, we can automatically connect our heart with the heart of the earth and the heart of the sky. Find our groundedness. Find our connection with the divine. And allow ourselves to be fully in the flow of life, in the flow of creation. What does that mean for you? Some things to consider in this next week. All right, let's take a nice deep breath in and out. And with that, we say goodbye and look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you so much for joining Mystic Revolution.
Thank you.
And that concludes this portion of Mystic Revolution. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to get notified of new content. And don't forget to like and share. Join the Mystic Revolution. Click on the link in the description to get more information or visit themysticrevolution.com. Another creative art production by Retro Earth Studio.
This series is really for you if you have mystic sensibilities or interests, or if you've been practicing forever. This is a place for all of us to join together